பார்த்திபன் சார், கோ-ஹோஸ்ட் குடுத்துருங்களேன் எனக்கு.
எஸ் மேம், எஸ் மேம்.
Good evening, distinguished guests and participants.
Yeah, ma'am, the guest is not yet joined.
Okay, ma'am. Okay, ma'am.
Yeah, ma'am. We are waiting for.
Okay, we will wait. Still 7. Time 7 then.
I think yeah, join நினைக்கிறேன். M. Jayakumar sir தானே.
Okay, we'll wait till 7. Anyway, we will start at 7.
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am.
Thank you.
Sir, welcome, sir.
Welcome, madam. Good evening, Professor
Yes.
Jayakumar.
Good evening. Yeah, sir. Good evening. Good evening, sir.
Mrs. Jagadishwari, would you like to host the PPT from your end?
Yeah, sir. I can do it, sir.
Okay, fine. Thank you.
Yeah.
How many participants you are expecting, Madam Jagadishwari?
Sir, for the last 3 days, we have 500 to 600, sir.
So quite a good number.
Yeah.
you? Who are you? What are you wearing?
Madam, can we start now? Still 7
Yes,
now.
ma'am. Yes, yes. Can start, ma'am. The participants, they may join, ma'am. We'll
Yeah,
start.
it's 7, right? I think it's the right time to start. Good evening, distinguished guests and participants. I'm Shanti, your host, extending warm wishes on behalf of AMET organizers. We are thankful for your continuous support and your positive feedbacks on our FTP. We are meeting on yet another important topic, curriculum construction process for industry-led curriculum on this wonderful evening. We have with us distinguished Professor Dr. Jayakumar, consultant from Tata Electronics, to enlighten on this topic. A brief note on our keynote speaker. He started his career as a faculty of Badiar University, Coimbatore, and elevated up to Dean and Director of School of Education. He also served as a full-time faculty at University of Michigan, USA. He also served as a special officer in planning and development of Academic Staff College. He was also a syndicate member and a member of UGC Standing Committee, operated project work of 300 lakhs. He served as a IQAC director for 2 terms and was a peer team member. He contributed a lot of research papers and guided PhD students. He initiated industry collaboration and designed industry-led curriculum in his tenure. He is currently serving as a consultant for Tata Electronics. We ensure this FDP will be fruitful for everyone present here. Together, let us accelerate the exchange of ideas and bring a fruitful discussion. We welcome and invite our esteemed guest speaker. Thank you, one and all. Over to Professor Jayakumar. We welcome and invite our esteemed speaker, Professor Dr. Jayakumar.
Ma'am, whether my screen is visible?
Yeah, now it's visible.
Yes.
I think now it's visible. Yes,
Jagdishwari madam, please hide the sharing dialog box. Thank you.
So you can also post your questions. Sir has given a lead to the team members. So if you have any questions, you can put it in the chat.
Madam, can you start now?
Yes, sir. Definitely,
Yes.
sir. We are waiting.
Yeah.
Thank you, sir.
Friends, thank you for the opportunity. My presentation is on design and development of industry-related curriculum. And I share my experience last 20 years. Friends, probably I will try to focus the various factors or parameters which are very essential to prepare a industry-focused curriculum. Friends, when we talk about industry-led curriculum, it is not for any particular company. For that matter, even for a particular sector or a particular tool or a particular learning platform or a particular platform, we try to understand the various parameters related to curriculum construction. Please go to the next slide. Shanti, yeah, next slide, please.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. We can.
Friends, let me even start from the basics. We always confuse curriculum with syllabus. Curriculum is a cover term, and syllabus comes within that. And curriculum derived from a Latin word. It means running in a race course. It means in a particular designated path, you have to run quickly and reach a target with a very short span of time, keeping the various difficulties in mind. So borrowed from the term, the Latin term curo. There are varieties of curriculum we can talk about. One is learner-focused curriculum, teacher-centered curriculum. That is what now we are practicing. Also core curriculum, hidden curriculum, sometimes null curriculum. We don't really teach that curriculum, though we are expected to teach. Integrated curriculum, subject-focused curriculum, broad field or holistic curriculum, activity-centered curriculum. All those things, varieties of focus you can create. When I say curriculum, curriculum means you are going to achieve a target in a short span of time, running in a well-defined path. Next slide, please. Probably I will also raise some questions after my presentation. Next slide, please. The other one is curriculum. When we talk about curriculum, there is a context. There is an institutional context. Please go to the previous slide. There is an institutional context. For example, whether our curriculum is relevant to technology, whether our curriculum is relevant. Go to the previous slide, please. The previous slide, please. Yeah. For example, when we, yeah, next slide, please. Next slide, please. One at a time. Yeah. Friends, whether our curriculum is relevant to a particular, relevance is very, very important thing in any education program. Am I relevant? This is one common question we always ask. Are you able to hear me? Are you able to hear me?
Yes, sir.
Yes,
No
sir, I
problem.
can able to hear you, sir.
And
Hear
are
you,
you able
sir.
to see?
Can
Are
hear
you
you,
able
sir.
to see my PowerPoint?
Yes, it
Now
was.
PowerPoint is not visible, sir.
Yeah. Anyway, that will be shared by the host institution later also to all the participants. Friends, when we talk about curriculum, there's a context is very, very important thing. And host, please ensure the presence of my PPT so that the participants can able to follow that. Please understand there is a context in which the curriculum is presented. When we say context, it can be the contents of the curriculum. What is the technology you are using? What is the probably objective in which that particular curriculum is used? And what is the assessment that you will adopt once if the curriculum is offered? These are all normally we call the forces in which a curriculum is probably delivered or transmitted. Next slide, please. Next slide, please. Host institution, Shanti, please host my PPT. Do you have any difficulty?
Sir, no, sir.
Yeah, can you show me my PPT,
But
madam?
we are not able to see the PPT.
Yeah, I know. That is why, Shanti, madam, please try.
Video
again.
is also not visible, actually.
Yeah, high
Yeah,
technology has.
sorry, here some issues, sir. Sorry, please 2 minutes.
Okay.
So we will
Okay.
solve this technical issue, sir.
Yeah,
Just 2 minutes.
I am sending the PPT to the IT support, sir. Sorry for the inconvenience.
No problem, please. High
The video-
technology has high risk also.
Yes. அனுப்புறேன் சார். சிஸ்டம் மேனேஜருக்கு தான் அனுப்பிச்சிருக்கேன். ஆமா ஆமா அனுப்பிச்சிருக்கேன் பாருங்க.
It looks like connectivity issue.
Velingiri sir, good evening.
Good evening, sir. Loose cable மாதிரி தெரியுது. Suddenly picture came, then it stopped.
Yeah, do you have any loose contacts at your end, Shanti madam?
Sorry, sir.
Do you have any loose contact normally? This
No,
may
sir.
happen.
No, we don't have it. Actually,
video came. Video appeared now for a second, then again it vanished.
Yeah, you can stop, then reload again.
So we found a technical glitch at the Jagdishwari ma'am's end. So it has been transferred to system manager. He'll just share with in a minute, sir, please.
Okay, okay. Meanwhile, the participants, you can share your expectations out of this particular session. Use the webinar chat.
I'll
Probably-
read out the questions which was
Few
posted in
questions are
the.
posted here.
Yeah, I think I am not able to see in the chat, or if anything is there, you can
I'll read it out, sir. What's the key method to reach the core curriculum in problem-centered design?
Okay, good. For example, when we talk about problems, for example, is it the problem is focused on one particular discipline, say chemistry, or simply mechanical engineering or electrical engineering? The problems are of three types. Normally a basic problem, very basic problem. Other one is intermediate level problem. Probably you have to apply 2 or 3 concepts or theories together and solve the problem. The last one is more complex problem. Basic problem, intermediate problem, complex problem. And similarly, are you going to apply only one discipline knowledge, or 2 or 3 discipline knowledge, or multiple discipline knowledge? So based on that, you can pose the problem first, and the students, you should allow them to think. There are varieties of methods in which curriculum can be offered. Normally one is called a discovery approach. It means by using their past knowledge which they have gained currently or in earlier period, and try to apply, try to understand either individually or collectively. But one disadvantage this particular method is it takes more time. And currently we are talking about outcome-based education. The next method or the latest method is CDIO, capital CDIO. When you find time, lot of resources, e-resources are available. It's simple mechanical process like conceive, design, implement. That is what we talk about, CDIO, operate. So currently few deemed universities in Chennai like Vailtech, they follow this particular approach called the CDIO approach. This will focus on problem-based learning. You can also try in engineering. You can even try this in biotechnology and several other applied science areas also. So this is a very important probably focus. The next thing is, when we talk about curriculum, there are varieties of parameters you have to keep it in mind. For example, your students, the most important thing is in our higher education, or for that matter in any educational probably delivery transaction, we assume certain things. For example, students are motivated. Students have the same knowledge level. Students have the same probably skill level. Whenever they get into a particular program, entry level probably competence or entry level qualification. But in reality, they may not have the same level of motivation. They may not have the same level of probably understanding, probably initiative, and they should not really work very hard to learn the curriculum. The motivation level, the intelligence level, or the initiative level always vary. So this is also one of the difficulties whenever you are launching a particular curriculum. The other important thing is there are three focus we have to do. One is called domain knowledge. Second one is called skills. And the third one is called attitude or right kind of a mindset. When I say knowledge, how do you define the knowledge? Can you say knowledge is in a very crude manner, bits and pieces of information arranged in a particular fashion? And in our academic discipline, when we talk about knowledge, there are 4 levels. One is called fundamentals. Teaching fundamentals is very, very essential. Second one is called exploding new information, new knowledge. The third one is called application principles. And the fourth one is called application tools. When you think of commerce education or engineering education or chemistry education, there are always 4 components. This is what we are trying to emphasize in our curriculum delivery. I repeat again, teaching fundamentals or imparting fundamentals, introducing new knowledge, exploding new knowledge, whichever discipline, new knowledge is created based on research, based on human understanding. We are not just looking at for knowledge's sake, we are also trying to use that particular knowledge. And whenever you go for application of knowledge, you have to create certain application principles. For example, application principles related to nuclear physics, application principles related to optics, application principles related to electromagnetism. This is also a very, very important thing. You have to keep it in mind. And in the name of curriculum delivery, in the name of curriculum transaction, you are focusing on 4. Yeah, you just go to 3rd or 4th slide. Some of them are, yeah. Next slide, please. Next slide, please. Yeah. Friends, yeah. Curriculum, yeah, please stay there. Say the purpose of curriculum is make our students moving towards autonomy. The learner should be self-learner, especially in higher education. Am I an active listener? Am I relevant to learning? Am I competent to do research and questioning whenever a curriculum is delivered? Am I passionate for learning? Am I open to adapt new technology? Am I fit for content curation? I will also define what is curation slightly later. Am I strong in my values and ideals? Am I a self-learner and lifelong learner? Am I a learner by reflection? Am I a team player? For example, to receive a curriculum or to listen to curriculum or in the curriculum transaction process, you have to be an active listener, team player, and you have to do certain amount of questioning. You have to be passionate for learning. Next slide, please. Next slide, please. Right. The relevance, when we talk about relevance, previous slide, please try, go to only one slide. Previous slide, please. Yeah. For example, you are not preparing a curriculum for a particular company. Probably you are not preparing a curriculum to use a set of technology tools or technology platform. You are not, probably you are preparing a curriculum for industry trends like Industry 4.0, Industry 5.0. Then what is the need for finishing school? For example, we are not doing or we are not probably delivering a finishing school syllabus. We are doing a meaningful set of skills, meaningful set of knowledge in an organized fashion. That is why you have to differentiate between curriculum delivery and conduct of finishing school. For example, finishing school, sometimes you confuse with finishing school with the technology curriculum. And finishing school is a tool-specific, technology-specific, company-specific, company-focused, short-term training to be more productive. The graduate should be more productive. A curriculum normally promotes self-learning, lifelong learning, and it should always create curiosity. It means some of the important points you should allow the students to search from multiple sources so that they will have the curiosity. And our curriculum should also provide problem-solving skills. How, we will discuss slightly later. Next slide, please. Yeah. For example, this I have already discussed. Curriculum should do justice for imparting, sharing knowledge, providing relevant skills to gain right kind of a mindset or attitudes. What is it? What is you mean by knowledge? Knowledge is normally justified by any cultural community, by any language group. It should be a true belief or true opinion combined with reason. When I say knowledge, there should be a reasoning across cultures, across languages, across communities. There are probably three kinds of knowledge we are trying to provide to your students. One is called very explicit, openly available, explicit knowledge that is very easy to articulate. For example, I can say, what is organic chemistry? Study of carbon compounds. What is nanoscience? You define what is nanoscience. And you are able to write down precisely and you are able to share with others. Already documented, recorded in our textbooks, in our research articles, books and journals. That is called explicit, openly available, clearly defined knowledge. Second one is called implicit knowledge. The application of explicit knowledge is called implicit. Knowledge ultimately probably should be applied to solve a problem. The third one is called tacit knowledge. It's not so visible. Knowledge gained from personal experience that is more difficult to express. So probably we call some kind of hidden knowledge. And in our purpose is, when we talk about curriculum, the curriculum will definitely focus on explicit knowledge. It will also help for implicit knowledge, gain implicit knowledge. It will also help to some extent to understand, to probably gain tacit knowledge. All the three are important in curriculum delivery. Next slide, please. Yeah, please understand a very essential. Teaching is only demonstrating that it is possible. Learning is making it possible for yourself. So when we talk about curriculum, the curriculum is connected to teaching. It is also equally connected to learning. Learning, when I say learning, learning is permanent change in behavior. There should be behavior change. There should be increase of knowledge. Teaching is an act of inspiration. Teaching is called a visual treat. It is not simply transacting, or sometimes it is very important thing that teaching is not simply transacting the textual content. It is not sounding out of the textbook. It is creating a visual image in the minds of the students. So when we talk about curriculum, the curriculum supports for an effective teacher to go for teaching and for a learner to go for effective learning. This is also some of the probably principles you have to keep it in mind. Next slide, please. Yeah. Friends, teaching and learning is closely, these are the two concepts closely related to curriculum. That is why I am going to define learning in multiple contexts. Change occurs in the learner's behavior, attitudes, or skills. Very common definition. What is learning? Learning is change in behavior. Permanent change in the behavior. Permanent change in the attitude. Improvement of skills to perform a particular activity. It may be a mechanical skill, or it can be a cognitive skill, or it can be a social skill. The change of behavior is both, you can easily observe and it is relatively permanent. Learning is a transactional process in which individuals gain further understanding, new insights, wisdom. They gain wisdom or more developed cognitive structures. It means related to mind through interaction. When I say interaction, a student interacts with the text, the student interacts with the teachers, the students interact with the other learners. Learning is not just a monologue. The teacher come to the stage and deliver continuously sequence of sounds. It is not teaching. Teaching is mutual learning. The teacher should also learn. Two ways of learning, normally a great scholar, PJ identified were assimilation and accommodation. For example, you have to assimilate the information, internalize, and effectively use, accommodate. All those things are fundamentals of learning. Whether your curriculum promotes learning, it is not documenting bits and pieces of information. Similarly, assimilation is a way of learning in which new ideas are incorporated, understood by the association of previous ideas, previous known ideas, concepts and memories. Individuals may assimilate new ideas into their current belief system. If the knowledge is different from what they relatively know, they may respond with intellectual process known as accommodation, which is more difficult than assimilation. I will ask you a basic question, whether your curriculum promotes accommodation, whether your curriculum promotes assimilation. This is a very, very important thing. Friends, it is not simply defining curriculum in multiple ways. Student-centered curriculum we have to create. Please, when we talk about curriculum, you should also talk about teaching, you should also talk about learning, and what are the closely related parameters or variables which are essential to understand curriculum is more important. That is what I am trying to help you to learn. Probably I can also help you to unlearn certain things. Next slide, please. Yeah. Friends, this is also very, you may ask me, sir, why should we know the different learning styles? Please understand, curriculum is not a static component, it's a dynamic component in our classroom context. For example, you can find different kinds of learners. Appropriately, you can have different kind of curriculum. For example, the first one is called the reflective learning, otherwise called as adult learning. Learning by reflection, reflective learning or concrete learning is one type of learning style. In this type, why questions are more used. Learners respond well to explanations of how course materials related to their experience, their interest, and their future careers. To be very effective with type 1 students, the instructor should function as a motivator. Please understand, curriculum is a tool. The teacher is a motivator. You have to play that particular role. To some extent, your curriculum should support motivation, especially when the teacher carrying out that particular activity. The type 2 is also called abstract, again reflective. In this question, what will be raised? The type 2 learners respond to information, textual information, presented in an organized fashion under various units, under various lessons, under various experiments, in a logical fashion, and benefit if they have time for reflection. To be effective, the instructor should function as an expert. For example, what kind of curriculum you are going to create for different kinds of learning styles is an important parameter. You have to keep it in mind. Next slide, please. There are another two types of learning styles. Next slide, please. Yeah. And here it's called active. How? The type 3 learners respond having opportunities to work actively on well-defined tasks and to learn by trial and error in an environment that allows them to fail safely. To be effective, the instructor should function as a coach providing guided practice and feedback. Normally in our practical classes, we adopt this particular method. And the type 4 is what if. This is also a very, very important thing. Type 4 learners like applying course materials in new situations to solve real problems. To be effective, the instructor should stay out of the way, maximizing opportunities for the students to discover things for themselves. It takes long time. This kind of learners, we have to promote team learning or group learning. So I have discussed about 4 types of learners. You can even observe in your classroom, and you have to appropriately redesign your curriculum or your teaching method appropriately based on the majority learning styles of your students. Next slide, please. The difference between college and life or school and life. College teaches your lessons and then gives you a test. But life gives you a test and you learn the lessons. When I say this is 2 different kinds of curriculum, 2 different kinds of learning opportunities for the students. In a very abstract style, I have used this. In their professional life, in their MBA, they learn many things about HR or human behavior. But when it comes to the real life, in their professional life, the MBA graduates learn many things. So life also is one set of curriculum that belief and understanding value system you should possess. Next slide, please. Say, for example, industry-led curriculum. This is our focus. Industry needs what? Industry-ready graduates. Their training cycles, training cost. The companies have no patience, no money to organize any training program for the young graduates who are recruited. Every time they say you are a billable resource. They don't even call somebody as an employee. They are called a resource, billable resource, like a mobile phone or like a CNC lathe machine. The human beings also one kind of a resource. They have no time to provide training or to allot some funds for training. And normally company expects 4 or 5 important challenges. They draw support, they expect from colleges, from educational institutions, higher education institutions. One is called import substitute. By conducting research, are you able to provide a substitute for an enzyme which is cost very high? You have to borrow, you have to get it from Western countries. Can you really substitute a rubber product? Can you really substitute a polluting material from a non-polluting material? Can you create, these are all material chemistry. The other one is called a quick launch of new products. Whenever you launch a new product, it takes 1.5 years, 2 years. Can you reduce that cycle? Increase the efficiency of business process service, especially service-related activities. Are you able to produce business intelligence reports so that the profit is maximized? They avoid a lot of shortfalls. And are you really good in predictive analytics or predictive maintenance? Are you able to create new materials? Are you able to really create a new technology to solve the current problems? Are you able to increase the process? It can be a business process or any kind of process so that the process cycle is minimized, reduced. Curriculum is to be designed to address all the above. Industry need curriculum. When we talk about industry need curriculum, this is their immediate expectation. Are you able to really solve at least one thing? When you design a curriculum for MBA, when you design a curriculum for BTech, chemical technology or biotechnology, whatever you do, for example, if a particular reagent, chemical reagent, it costs say 10 grams, some 2,000 rupees. Can you really substitute that with our own locally available plant tissues or plant juices? And so that the cost is minimized. The company is ready to support you. This is a kind of a expectation the companies always have. I'm talking not only bigger companies, smaller companies also. Can you really eliminate the pollution process, minimize the pollution? Then they are prepared to support you. Next slide, please. Always we talk about skills. How do you define the skill? At what level? It is an ability, learned ability. You have to learn the ability systematically, gained through deliberate, systematic, and sustained efforts under the guidance of a master to adaptively carry out complex activities related to a particular job involving ideas. When we talk about skills, is it a cognitive, related to your mind, related to your thinking? Is it to do a physical activity, lifting a heavy product, heavy material, technical skill, or to probably draw a picture? It can be related to people management, interpersonal skills. We always say industry focused on skill-based education. Are you ready to change? What kind of skills you can list down for a particular set of jobs, say in the manufacturing industry, in ESDM, electronic system design and manufacturing, or in chemical engineering, or in mechanical engineering, or in petrochemical engineering, or even in banking? Are you able to really list down those skills at various level, intermediate level, advanced level, lower level? Can all those skills can be accommodated with the help of a set of curriculum? All those things are greater challenge. So skill focus is also an essential component when you design a curriculum. Next slide, please. The next important thing is to whom you are creating curriculum. You are creating curriculum for 21st century learners, students. Who are they? They are digital native, active users of smart devices, treats teachers as co-learners, demands immediate relevance of learning. They are not prepared to learn something useful for the after 3 years or 4 years. Am I relevant? Whether my learning is relevant. Learning through games, learning as a group, problem-based learning, cross-discipline focus. They also use social platforms for learning. Most of them, we tell them that you should be self-motivated. On-demand education, you have to provide bits and pieces and personal learning styles, accommodating personal learning styles. They always demand nano degree. They are not prepared to wait for 4 years. First year certificate, second year diploma, third year advanced level diploma, fourth year degree. And that your curriculum, your technology platform, everything should be readily available 24/7. Are we ready to teach 21st century learners? If it is so, what kind of curriculum you have to construct? I am raising a lot of questions. And I am also making you to be a self-learner. I may not able to give you answers. But the teacher's responsibility in any seminar is raising focused questions to the participants. The participants should go back and start thinking and searching, and they should learn on their own. That is the method I am adopting. I am raising a lot of questions in my presentation. Next slide, please. Yes, I have already discussed teaching fundamentals, new knowledge, application principles, application tools. When we say providing application experience, you have to perform. Performance tracking is very essential. Not all faculty members are aware of current technologies for teaching. This is again an important thing. Curriculum, when we say curriculum, it also goes with delivery technology tools. That is why creating a curriculum, creating a textbook is simply the first level of exercise. In order to transact that curriculum, you need to have a technology, whether all our faculty members are aware of, say, assessment technology tools or content curation technology tools. Assessment tools check only. Currently, all our assessment tools, our question papers, our exams, or nowadays they check only the memory power, lower order thinking. Normally, there is no serious learning challenges, either individually or collectively, no culture of self-learning. Penetration of technology, especially for teaching learning, is very slow. Lack of proper understanding of OBE or CDIO, and positive impact on systems by technology. Please understand, whenever you think of creating a curriculum for a particular industry or a particular set of sectors of industry, say mechanical engineering, or when you think of chemical engineering, there are a lot of, for example, how your curriculum should promote self-learning. It means a lot of question and answer should be there as part of your curriculum. What kind of technology-based assessment tools you are going to create as a kind of support material for your curriculum, which is also a very, very important thing. So how do you are going to deliver or transact or present or accommodate the application principles and application tools? Application tools vary time to time. Next slide, please. Say, for example, when we talk about curriculum construction, we should move from one particular paradigm. Paradigm means one kind of set of belief system, one kind of delivery, one kind of understanding and value system. From the instruction paradigm, this is a traditional paradigm, to a self-learning paradigm. Traditionally, your curriculum should not simply focus on delivering instruction, to help the teachers to deliver instruction. You should really produce learning among the students, either individually or collectively. It is not simply a transfer process, a transfer mechanism, a transfer tool. Transfer knowledge from faculty to students, it should elicit discovery, construction of knowledge bit by bit based on problems. It is not simply inputs or resources. I can create a book, I can construct a curriculum with a lot of inputs and resources, giving list of resource materials. It is not so. Learning is more important. It means the curriculum should be in such a way, there should be probably a kind of a learning together mechanism should be created in your curriculum. It should be like a kind of interactive material. Learning and student success outcomes is more important than this is an elementary book, this is an advanced book, this is a very super book. You cannot make like that. Whether that book or whether that curriculum, set of curriculum is really promoting student success outcomes. Quality of entering students are very, very important when the traditional method. Now, quality of exiting students, those who are completing your curriculum. Then curriculum development expansion focus here, learning technologies and development. Time held constant and learning varies, but here learning held constant, time varies. This is what OBE method talks about. Degree equals accumulated credit hours. Degree equals demonstrated knowledge and skills. Why I discuss this? For example, your curriculum should promote learning paradigm than instruction paradigm. You have to also keep it in mind. Your curriculum should be more interactive. Your curriculum should have a lot of self-assessment tools. Your curriculum should provide a lot of discovery methods. Your curriculum should arrange in such a fashion the knowledge is constructed, co-constructed bit by bit. Next slide, please. Next slide, please. Yeah. Then, no, previous slide, madam. Previous slide. End of the course assessment, normally, this is our traditional method here. You, at any point of time, you can do assessment pre, during, and post-assessment. For continuous learning, you have to, the curriculum should have pre, during, and post-assessment tools. Knowledge comes in bits and pieces, delivered by faculty, gotten or received by students. Knowledge is constructed, co-created. Learning is cumulative, linear in patient, bit by bit. Learning is nesting and interacting a framework based on the previous knowledge, based on the previous experience. Learning is faculty centered and controlled. Learning is student centered and controlled. And classroom learning are competitive and individualized. This is again an important point. All our curriculum, all our textbooks, all our assessments, they promote learning in the competitive environment and in the individualized environment. But we are creating a learning environment in the other paradigm, learning paradigm. We are creating a learning environment, and learning are cooperative in nature, collaborative and supportive each other. What kind of curriculum you have to create to promote learning paradigm is my question. Next slide, please. Again, right now, there is another dimension you have to keep it in mind when you design a curriculum. Moving from the industrial model, traditionally from probably 19th century, even up to 21st century, we adopt one model called industrial model, same set of students, same kind of knowledge, like a factory you are producing graduates. And currently challenging model, critical thinking model, curriculum you have to create. Purpose of education is conformity, obedience, prepare learners for a factory job. The current method, the method we are proposing, you have to create a new curriculum. Critical thinking, creativity, because we always focus on creative learners. Prepare learners for information and technology. And learning model, we focus on behaviorism here, construction of knowledge, social constructivism. Classrooms are graded by age, homogeneous groups, multi-age classes, heterogeneous groups. You don't really restrict second year students to learn only from the second year students. The second year, third year, fourth year students can learn together if you adopt the current method, the latest technology tools, latest curriculum methods, based on the simplicity of the problem or complexity of the problem. In the traditional curriculum, the traditional industrial model, reading, writing, arithmetic, basic literacy is very narrow, fact-based. Here, the knowledge is, the curriculum is multifaceted curriculum, problem focusing, text-based instruction, simple transmission, monologue. Here, multiple sources. You have to promote, your curriculum should promote, or your curriculum should lead to learn many things from multiple sources, including e-resources, simple transaction you have to follow. It is not transmission from the teacher, but it should be a collective transaction and probably gaining knowledge together. Assessment, more uniform, standardized, here more authentic and diverse. You need to have a battery of tests. Multiplicity of tests should be available. Role of learner, passive, receive knowledge, active, construct knowledge. Teacher is like a foreman correcting the mistakes. It's like a clerk. Here, teacher is a co-learner. You don't need any elevated platform. Teacher is a facilitator for self-learning. Parents also have a role. Follow dictates of a school or a college. Parent partner in decision making. The current curriculum method should have the probably feedback from the parents also, from the learners also. The role of administrator, your principal, supervisor, manager. Here he is an instructional leader and co-learner. Why I say is, if you follow the industrial model of delivery, you need to have a different kind of a curriculum, which is an old model. If you follow the inquiry method, inquiry model of learning, you have to adopt a different kind of a curriculum. That is why I'm explaining in a multiple context. Next slide, please. Yeah, this is, I have to some extent discussed. Each knowledge has 4 components: invariant core, exploding volume of empirical knowledge through various research, constantly changing application, constantly changing various application and application principles, and rapidly changing tools. Invariant core consists of fundamentals based on universal laws that provide description. Empirical knowledge expands based on research and understanding. Sophistication is added to changing applications. Invariant core provides continuity of the discipline or education. Please understand, what is the purpose of our curriculum? our curriculum is to ensure uniform delivery of knowledge. How do you define knowledge? Now I have discussed these things. For example, higher education is responsible for updating or providing current knowledge fundamentals, application principles, application tools. Curriculum is also responsible for providing quality skills relevant to a particular industry or a group of industry. It also promotes to gain right kind of a mindset or attitude. Next slide, please. Yeah. When we say knowledge production and knowledge configuration, these are two major concepts. Because of the development in the field of information communication technology, large amount of bits and pieces of information are easily accessible on daily basis for millions of people across the globe. For example, whether the students are coming to your class, whether your curriculum is created simply to provide bits and pieces of information? No, they are already available elsewhere. Knowledge and information are no longer limited to libraries, books, professors, and experts. Knowledge production is making room for what we can call knowledge configuration. You try to configure knowledge. Education institutions should equip and empower their teaching and support staff to conduct and manage knowledge configuration effectively. Understand your role in configuration, understand your role in production. How do you produce knowledge? You produce knowledge based on your research, based on your probably experiential learning. You understand, internalize, practice. All those things should be recorded properly, and you create a curriculum. So our curriculum should focus on knowledge production and knowledge configuration. It is not simply listing out a few facts. Listing of facts in the name of lessons and units is not curriculum. Next slide, please. Curate is a very important activity and responsibility of curriculum construction experts. Although education institutions greatly emphasize generation of content basic for learning programs in the past, now the storage and reuse of content becoming an important as their production. Normally we call it as a reusable learning object in e-content creation. So our curriculum should create, or our curriculum should facilitate to gain a skill called knowledge curation skill for our students. It should really create a new skill called knowledge configuration. It should create a new skill called knowledge generation. Knowledge generation, knowledge configuration, knowledge curation, all the three essential skills at a higher level. And the curriculum presentation, our curriculum should focus all the three functions of knowledge management. The generation of content might possibly not even happen at all, or through the institution itself, but elsewhere. All our chemistry research, pharmacy related research, pharmaceutical research are taking place in some not in the universities or in colleges, but by probably a pharmaceutical industry. Please, knowledge is not created only in the high-end labs of the universities or colleges. It is created elsewhere. So your knowledge curation, your knowledge configuration, your knowledge generation are all three important skills for higher order students. And your curriculum should ensure all the three essential functions so that the students are probably gainful or relevant to knowledge management context. The education institutions could possibly in such a case give attention to the configuration, the evaluation, processing, and packaging of content. Whenever we talk about a particular research in a particular area, and the curriculum is going to be available, and the students after completing that curriculum learning process, he should go for configuration. When I say configuration, understand the real purpose, evaluate the real usefulness of the knowledge, processing, of that particular knowledge for a particular context and packaging the knowledge of the content. You should give a lot of examples for all this knowledge management exercise in your curriculum. That is what I'm trying to emphasize here. Next slide, please. So please understand, our context is also very, very important. For example, curriculum has certain internal context, classroom context or college context. Curriculum also has an external context. So we live in a VUCA world, volatile, uncertain, complex, and ambiguous. This is a new normal. For example, I am discussing this slide in the context of the relevance of our curriculum. Why we say this curriculum is very old, this curriculum is not useful, this curriculum is not skill focused, this curriculum may not fit for the industry 5.0 context. So you have to understand update of curriculum or leaving the old things, adding new things, and providing multiple multidisciplinary curriculum, creating multidisciplinary curriculum is very, very important thing in the context of volatile, uncertain, complex, and ambiguous world. This is the industry world. This is called a new normal, our current context. This is our current context. Try to understand, spend more time to understand whatever I am going to discuss. Look at my next slide, please. Next slide, please. Yeah. When we say ambiguity, leadership challenges, failure to understand the significance of an event, high risk of misinterpreting events and responding inappropriately in an ineffective ways. Leaders are too far removed from those source and context of the events. Leaders act based on limited understanding. Please understand, when we say ambiguity, and the curriculum should disambiguate and understand the challenges in a technology context, in a probably in an industry context. They should also provide solution. The teacher should use that curriculum. So a curriculum has a major responsibility to disambiguate the context. Next slide, please. Yeah. Repeatedly, I'm talking about learning. For example, I said any process that in living organism lead to permanent capacity change and which is not solely due to biological maturation or aging. Understanding of what learning is cannot only be a matter of understanding the process of learning itself, but also all the conditions that influence or influenced by this process. Ultimately, curriculum is for what? Curriculum is for the purpose of learning. Learning individually, learning as a team. And learning skills, gaining knowledge, understanding application principles, effective use of application tools. All learning implies the integration of two different processes, an external interaction process between the learner and his or her social, cultural, and material environment. So your curriculum should promote integration at two levels, and an internal psychological process of elaboration and acquisition, gaining. Both processes must be actively involved for learning to take place. Please understand, when we talk about curriculum, curriculum should promote learning. Curriculum is a supporting tool for learning. And there are two different processes. One is called integration, which is very implies integration of two different processes. One is the external interaction in the context, in multiple context, in technology context, in social context, probably in the economic context. The other one is a psychological process, gaining and elaboration. What is the personal effort a learner takes? The acquisition process, gaining process, can further broken down into two processes. One is the function of managing the learning content. The other one, the incentive function of providing and directing the mental energy that runs the process. Thus, learning will always involve three dimensions. I will try to explain also later. Next slide, please. Okay, friends. Meanwhile, I try to define what is learning in multiple contexts. I am using one particular model called IDEA curriculum. It's abbreviation, acronym. I stands for intelligent, D stands for distributed, and E stands for engaging, and A stands for agile, and S stands for situated, IDEA's curriculum, IDEA curriculum or IDEA's curriculum. There are 5 different signposts. And each, for example, how to construct an intelligent curriculum, how to construct a distributed curriculum, how to construct an engaging curriculum. For example, you may ask me, sir, in BCom or in BSc Mathematics or in BE Mechanical Engineering, can we adopt IDEA's curriculum method? Yes, you can adopt this particular framework, depends on a particular academic content. Go to the next slide, please. For example, one is called intelligent pedagogy. Intelligent pedagogy is the art and science of teaching, including the creation of curriculum. It is an approach to teaching in which technology is used to enhance the learning experience. All your current, your e-learning, all those things come under this. For example, examples include using different learning analytics to support course leaders in curriculum design decisions, as well as help students to manage their learning. Ensuring that both learners and teachers learn digital competence, creating a learning environment that is not restricted to an institutional learning management system, and attempt to use creative use of technologies. Virtual and augmented reality for learning and teaching comes under intelligent pedagogy. For example, pedagogy is, there are 2 terms I am introducing. One is called art and science of teaching, is called pedagogy. Art and science of teaching is called pedagogy. And the other term is called andragogy, art and science of teaching adults. All our students are adults. After 18 years legally, they are called adults. So you have to use your curriculum, should use augmented and virtual reality currently available, so that the learner experience is very high. And you are really giving probably a visual treat. The senses of the learners are activated through intelligent pedagogy. You can try this, of course, slightly expensive. Next one, D, IDEA curriculum. Next slide, please. Distributed pedagogy refers to shared or distributed ownership of different elements of learning journey by different stakeholders in the process. It includes at the one end of the spectrum collaborative partnerships between institutions. At the other end, a deliberate separation of services to allow learners to select different aspects of their learning style. Normally, we call individual learning styles. Experience from a marketplace of potentially competing providers. It is possible for a single institution to have offerings at both ends of the spectrum. So distributed pedagogy curriculum. When you adopt distributed pedagogy, you have to create a one different kind of a curriculum. You have to also keep it in mind. And social science also, you can be taught through this particular curriculum method. Next slide, please. Engaging pedagogy is very important thing for experiential learning. It is an approach to curriculum design and delivery in which learners are encouraged to actively participate in the learning process. Of course, it takes more time. Relative practices including supporting students to develop portfolios that have relevance for them outside the classroom, involving the learners in producing content both for same group peers and for the wider public, creating conditions in which learners can construct knowledge for themselves, and including an element of gamification in the learning process. How many of you have seen a curriculum in which games are adopted for learning? There is an increased emphasis on teaching enhancement programs for teaching staff to support them in making the learning experience engaging for learners. Now, in all the official documents of several American universities I have personally seen, many of them, they are not talking about teaching, they are talking about engaging learners. So your curriculum should engage the learners. What is the engagement? What is engagement? Understand the learners thoroughly, motivate them to listen to us, and and also allowing them to share their own personal experience. Consolidation, there are several steps involved in curriculum construction. So when you adopt engaging pedagogy, it is also essential in certain conditions. You have to understand the steps involved in the curriculum construction process for engaging pedagogy. Next slide, please. Next slide, please, madam. Yeah, agile. Flexibility. Agile means flexibility. Agile material refers to flexibility and customization to a particular learner, particular curriculum, and relevant student experience. It includes personal learning styles, personal pathways. For example, you are a bright student, you can complete a particular course in 40 days. I am not so bright, I may take even 60 days. It includes personalized learning pathways and individual support for learners. For example, your remedial programs can have a position here. Recognition of prior learning, non-formal learning achievements in order to widen participation in fast-track learners through programs, responsiveness of institutions and systems to learners' immediate needs. Support for virtual mobility of students and internationalization of curriculum. All these developments are support widening of participation in higher education and facilitating access for learners. Please understand, your curriculum should be agile. Your curriculum should be situated. All those things are very, very essential. Understand the basic principles behind curriculum construction. Next slide, please. Situated curriculum is very important thing. Situatedness is very important thing. Even the current NAAC guideline we are going to have in the next few months, they talk about situated pedagogy. It encompasses the idea of contextualizing the knowledge, contextualization of knowledge, learning, and emphasize the need for curricula with the real world relevance and focus. It expands work-related learning opportunities for students and supports students in identifying and addressing larger issues in a society, in an industry context, in the government and society. What are the larger issues or bigger issues? Pollution is a bigger issue. And effective use of natural resources or solar energy than going for fossil-based energy, hydrocarbons. And removing of pollutions of multiple levels and the equal distribution of resources you create. These are in the economics. And removing disparity and respecting human rights. These are all bigger issues. Your science or arts or humanities, they should focus on bigger issues, even including your chemical engineering should focus on. For example, I may raise a question now, whether we can have nuclear energy or whether you can depend on fossil-based hydrocarbons, or you can simply depend only on solar energy. And if it is so, how the developing nations will suffer if you put a full stop to fossil-based energies, hydrocarbons, and solar energy. To establish solar energy units, you need huge money. So this situated pedagogy talks about larger issues, even for science students or social science students. It is primarily based on the project or problem-based learning. Naturally, situated pedagogy you can have in the third and fourth year of engineering education or last year of science and humanities education. In situated pedagogy, learning and assessment are contextualized according to students' professional and personal goal. So varieties of methods we can talk about, varieties of curriculum construction process we can talk about. Next slide, please. Next slide, please, madam. Yeah, friends, nowadays there is a fashion. You talk about critical thinking skill, adaptive learning, design thinking, multiple cultural awareness. Talk about 21st century skills. For example, critical thinking is there in almost arts, humanities, engineering, social science. It's almost like correct thinking in the pursuit of relevant and reliable knowledge about the world. Critical thinking is more reasonable. You have to have a sense of reason. It should be personally reflected, responsible, and skillful thinking, focused on deciding what to believe or what to do. Critical thinking is asking right questions, relevant questions to relevant persons, gather useful, dependable, relevant information, and come to reliable and trustworthy consultation. For example, critical thinking process, I can raise this question. Evaluate your society's need for nuclear power plants. Consequences of global warming. When you have this, you can create a lot of critical thinking. For example, the same question put to European universities, the same question put to Asian universities, the same question put to, say, for example, Japanese students, there will be multiple answers, multiple understanding. Critical thinking is asking relevant questions. I will give some more examples also for critical thinking. Next slide, please. Your curriculum should promote critical thinking. Next, please. Yeah. For example, no, go to previous slide, madam. Please go to previous slide. Yeah. Yeah. Next slide. Next. There are, when we talk about critical thinking, I already said it's asking relevant questions. What is the kind of question you should ask? One is called questions of clarification. I will give you some examples. Questions that probe your assumptions based on your belief system, assumptions, value system. Questions that probe your reasons and evidence. For example, when I say, in a very jocular sense, I say the North Indians hate South Indians, or the North countries, when I say European countries, exploit developing nations. What is the assumption you have? What is the reason you are talking about? You have to raise a lot of, when you, for example, when you say a statement or when you make a strong statement, you have to have evidence. I will give you an example. For example, you are not my best friend. This is a judgment. You are talking to your friend and say, you are not my best friend. Don't say like that. Yesterday, I was waiting for you. You made me to wait for 3 hours. Day before yesterday, I gave you 500 rupees. You said that you will return the money after an hour, but you have not returned the money. And every time you are giving only missed call, I have to call you back. Because of this, I am saying you are not my best friend. You are not trustworthy. So you are not trustworthy, you are not my best friend is a judgment. And for that judgment, you have to give some evidence. You have to give some reason, evidence. So probe reasons and evidence, and questions about multiple points of view and perspectives, understanding the same problem in different dimensions. Probe implications and consequences is also very, very important thing. Questions about questions, meta questions. So critical thinking in your curriculum, in your probably curriculum construction process, you have to focus on design thinking and sense making, adaptive learning, critical thinking, cultural awareness, or cultural tolerance. So I'm giving one example about critical thinking. Next slide, please. For example, how do you can ask questions for clarification? Next slide, please. Next slide, please. Yeah. For example, you say that, so you are always too smart. When I say you are always too smart, immediately you can say, what do you mean by the term smart? What do you mean by that? Why do you say like that? Questions that probe assumptions. What are you assuming here? Why do you assume? What is your assumption to make such a judgment? Questions that probe reasons and evidence. How do you know this? And questions about multiple viewpoints and perspectives. What are you implying by saying this? For example, I can say some Tulu language. I'm giving a crude example. Don't mistake me. Tulu language is not that pleasant to my ears. What are you implying? What are you implying by saying that? Because you are not heard of that particular language regularly, then you say it is not very sweet. You have certain bias. Tamil is sweet language, or mother tongue is sweet language. You say like that. So your text, your curriculum should promote critical thinking in a professional context, in your disciplinary context, in chemical engineering or in mechanical engineering, in data analytics context. How do you can promote critical thinking, asking the relevant questions? I have given you some models here. Next slide, please. Next slide. For example, let me take one example. I'm going to construct a curriculum for commerce students at the undergraduate world. You can also try in mechanical engineering or civil engineering or in biotechnology. For example, in commerce, these are all the buzzwords currently used. The work is available in those areas. For example, financial inclusion, foreign direct investment flows industry-wise, payment banks, financial networks and applications, electronic payment and settlement systems, security technologies for financial sector. For example, we talk about financial information system like management information system, MIS, and analytics is very common, asset liability management, portfolio optimization, financial management and risk models by using mathematical models, mobile computing, social media for commerce activities for financial services, issues related to regulatory complaints at the national and international level, core banking solutions, creation of user groups, risk management analysis, default prediction, customer segmentation, and sentiment analysis by using psychological basis. So the current commerce curriculum, both undergraduate and postgraduate, should include few or all of this. When you think of your curriculum, say for commerce, undergraduate or postgraduate, these are all currently available, probably skill sets are currently available, job demands in certain subsectors. Next slide, please. One particular small example I am trying to give you, bank. Next slide, please. Next slide, please. Let me give you one example. For example, bank. I am going to describe what is bank to my commerce student in certain 5 parameters. In the context of customer relationship, I approached the bank yesterday. Bank approached me today. Because of the technology available, me and my bank, it's a very, very personalized banking service. In the next, even right now, me and my bank is the model. So what is the definition you will give for bank in the context of customer relationship? Functionality, conduct of this financial transactions, engagement of the customers, customer benefits. The current is whatever you do, functionality should end with customer benefits. And prospecting, informative, bi-directional interactive, now bi-directional proactive, products and solutions, conventional products, very limited products, comprehensive products. There are 60 different kinds of personalized bank service available in Europe and US. I personally experienced. And now going forward, very, very particularly customized banking service solutions we have to provide, then only you can retain your customers. Broad objectives, cost reduction, now cost optimization, market share. Again, the current one is building brand so that you are able to retain the customer because the competition is very high. Anybody can open a bank if the technology is readily available. The market condition, the market regulations or the national level government regulations will also be probably very minimum hereafter. Those kind of things are going to take place soon. Next slide, please. I will take few more minutes, then I will allow you for having questions. Next slide, please. I am giving one example how to construct a curriculum for commerce. Next slide, please, madam. Yeah. For example, your purpose of curriculum is not simply content probably documented in a particular framework. It should be, your curriculum should create connections. An integrated digital educational ecosystem is available. Naturally, your curriculum should focus on integrated students' learning life cycle, and you should draw support from integrated technology solutions. Curriculum is not an isolated thing. Curriculum should go with technology solution. Curriculum should also go with student learning life cycle. And you have to go for a digital education ecosystem. From contents to connections is also one direction of curriculum construction. Next slide, please. Yeah, I have discussed something. For example, we talk about Industry 4.0, Industry 5.0. In 2020, critical thinking is given. For example, in 2015, creativity is given last importance. But in the year 2020, creativity is given most important role. Critical thinking is given more important role. Complex problem solving is given more important role. People management is given more important role. Probably the priority varies from even within a period of 5 years, because some of the common challenges are managed or addressed by our technology. This kind of things also have to keep it in mind when you design a curriculum. Next slide, please. Next slide, please. Yeah. Placing additional emphasis on developing skills such as critical thinking, insight, analytical abilities, capabilities, integrating new media literacy into education programs. These are the trends, including experiential learning that gives prominence to soft skills, the ability to collaborate in an intercultural context, work in groups in multiple countries, really understand the social cues and response adaptively, and broadening the learning constituency beyond the teens and young adults through to adulthood. Teaching adult responsibility is also a very, very important thing. What is adulthood? Transfer of skills is a responsibility of adult. Reporting the truth, admitting the failure, sense of joy, form as a team, leadership initiatives, all those things are adult responsibilities. Your curriculum should promote all those things. Integrating interdisciplinary training that allows students to develop skills and knowledge in a range of subjects. It's not just, he's a chemist, he's a mechanical engineering graduate. You are looking at a graduate in the context of solving problems for the society. Implications. So your curriculum is not just restricted to one particular discipline. Maybe in the elementary level you can do that. Otherwise, the whole curriculum construction process is based on solving of problems. Next slide, please. Next slide, yeah. Learning gives creativity. So your curriculum should promote learning. It should promote creativity. It should promote thinking. It should promote knowledge or search for knowledge. It should also make you as a great person, great learner by Dr. Abdul Kalam. Next slide, please. So I'm almost few more slides. Next, it's almost 8. Your curriculum should promote blended or hybrid learning. Face-to-face instruction with technology-mediated instruction. Technology-mediated instruction uses information technologies to mediate learning experience. As I said earlier, the individual learning experience is very important thing than transaction of the content. And the curriculum should promote the learners and instructors. There can be multiple places to be located together or in different contexts. So your curriculum should be free from any cultural bias. This is also one important thing. So your curriculum should promote blended or hybrid learning. Next slide, please. Few more contexts I try to define. Next slide, please. blended or hybrid learning. Next slide, please. Are you able to hear me? Yeah. Friends, your curriculum is presented in a context. For example, again, I am using the same Bloom's taxonomy. Your curriculum should help the students to understand the basic concept, to remember the basic concept. They are all called pre-classroom context content. And your classroom activities, curriculum should promote classroom activities, apply the knowledge, apply the scientific principles, try to solve the societal problems, analyze in multiple points of view, evaluate a solution, which one is right, and they should also create. Creation is highest order by adopting the flipped mode of classroom. The curriculum should go with the appropriate classroom context. It should also go with the Bloom's taxonomy of knowledge. Next slide, please. For example, whenever you use a new curriculum, yes, it should be serve the purpose of understanding a new concept. It should serve the purpose of remembering the new concept, new knowledge. Then a curriculum inside the classroom serves certain functions. And it also serves some function outside the classroom. One curriculum adopting the traditional method. Other one, the current method, is called flipped model. And for example, flipped model is ulta. Currently, what we do, we are discussing the content step by step. But hereafter, we will not do that responsibility. The students are expected to learn the simple academic content before they come into the classroom. The classroom is meant for evaluation, meant for analysis, meant for clarifying doubts. The teacher's role is completely different now. This is also, you have to understand appropriately. You redesign your fixed various curriculum transaction methods. Next slide, please. Say, for example, lot of variables you have to understand. Your curriculum should focus more on learning environment, create an appropriate learning environment. What is the goals of your teaching and learning? The activities that will best suit learning, the assessment strategies, and should not give marks but to derive further learning, the culture that infuses the learning environment. Next slide, please. Learning environment, higher order thinking through technology-based learning environments, instruction strategies which promote learner to make connection with the new information to old, gain meaningful knowledge, and employ metacognitive, higher order cognitive thinking skills that are required with the e-learning environment. When I say curriculum, for example, don't assume curriculum like a textbook creation. It covers many things. You have to provide resource materials, you have to provide reference materials, you have to provide assessment tools, you also provide right kind of learning delivery methods. All those things are also part and parcel of the curriculum. So you have to also understand the learning, provide appropriate learning methods, and learning environment is also part of your curriculum construction. Next slide, please. Moving from teaching paradigm to learning paradigm is your curriculum should move from the teaching paradigm to learning paradigm. Autonomy promotes learning paradigm. Self-learning you have to promote. Next slide, please. For example, we say curriculum design is an administrative process. There are 4 or 5 major steps. Determining for every course, you talk about objectives of the course. Developing appropriate learning experience. I have given you many examples, learning experience, updating of curriculum, and understanding the learning experience and organizing in an appropriate manner. For example, experiential learning method you can adopt, and evaluating the objectives, whether you have achieved that objectives. One is called grassroots model. Other one is called centralized curriculum pattern, curriculum construction process. The traditional method, Hilda Taba, advocates grassroots approach. The reason behind that is she developed inductive approach. A small correction in the spelling, sorry for that. Start with specifics and building towards a general design. rather than traditional deductive method. Curriculum construction, you can adopt two methods. One is called inductive method. It means you teach bits and pieces of your courses right from the fundamentals or right from the basics, which is very relevant. Then you gain a general design later. The other one is top-down model, deductive method. Traditionally, we followed the deductive method. Now the inductive approach of curriculum design and construction is relevant. You can, whenever you construct a curriculum, you have to adopt an inductive method, inductive approach. Next slide, please. So I am almost done. Of course, I have few more slides because the time is a constraint. I promise that we will share at least 30 minutes for discussion. It's now 8:31. I can take few questions. I think few more questions are already available in my chat box. So somebody said no, sir. Somebody said yes, sir. I don't know what is the reason. Good evening. Kindly provide suggestion to get Center of Excellence in Engineering Institution, particularly electrical engineering. Nadarajan, Sivanandan Nadarajan, Professor, when we talk about centers of excellence, please be specific. For example, the centers of excellence in, for example, manufacturing, electronic ESDM area. Then you have to work with Tata Electronics or you have to work with some company. So one thing is, if you need to have a strong research basis, from that, the companies will come to you and go for Center for Excellence. And I may be able to help you. Probably, I have already shared my email ID. I don't know about the name of the college you are coming from, Sivanandan Nadarajan. I am prepared to interact with you slightly later. Can you please look into the same? Ramesh Babu, your question is not complete. What is that? How will you implement 4 C's? Critical thinking, collaboration, communication, creativity, and curriculum instruction and assessments. I think critical thinking should be, I have defined what is critical thinking. I have also, critical thinking is asking 11 questions, adopting the scientific method. And there are different ways in which you can raise questions. I have given you a common example. And you have to adopt critical thinking in a particular domain-specific knowledge based on the student's current understanding and create a lot of questions. The question should be how and why, not what. Very critical thinking should have more questions related to why and how. And collaboration is very essential. Collaborative learning is students learn together, but it slightly takes more time. Effective communication, I have given you 1 or 2 examples. Then Periyaswamy, is curriculum led necessary for arts and science courses? Dr. M. Balasubramaniam, Professor, curriculum led, for example, industry focused curriculum is essential not only for engineering or not only for technology-based courses or advanced research. It can be even useful for arts and science courses. Probably when we talk about industry-focused curriculum, the primary focus more related to skills which have immediate relevance. Not audible. Okay. Dear organizer, I am working as an autonomous institution. We are going to frame new curriculum for forthcoming. Is it possible? Kindly share the PPT. Yes, definitely. We will definitely share the PPT. Can you send Mr. Jayakumar mail ID or something like that? Students completed short duration. Is it possible to award him the post completion or degree? Sir, this is an administrative question. And primarily which university you are from, what is the national guideline talks about, all those things are very, very important. The span of time for achieving industry-led curriculum will not be enough for an undergraduate students who lacks basic skills for reading and writing. Then Gandhi Madi, yes madam, I fully agree with you. Then how shall we achieve this? If you are focusing only on industry-led curriculum, what will be the scope for fundamental conceptual understanding or fundamental scientific research? Please understand, madam, when I started discussing about the 4 knowledge components, I said teaching fundamentals are very, very essential. Learning fundamentals are very, very essential. I also gave equal importance to for the current knowledge or exploring new knowledge. Then only I talk about application principles. Finally comes under the application tools. The application tools may be for a particular industry or particular company, but I have given equal importance for all those things. Certain, yes, short duration programs also give. For example, inductive and deductive approach. For example, I have given you some examples. Inductive approach is you teach multiple courses. Some of them are related, some of them not so related. And finally, you draw a major, probably an upper portion called a generalized curriculum pattern. After teaching, say, 140 credits, putting into different kinds of papers. Finally, you can say they are all chemical engineering graduates or mechanical engineering graduates. And deductive approach can also be possible, but inductive approach will be more useful so that the students are given importance, or students related parameters are given more importance. Cognitive abilities for students, it takes long time because when we talk about cognitive abilities, which particular cognitive ability you are talking about is more important thing. You are right, it takes more time. For example, critical thinking is one cognitive ability. For example, rephrasing is also a cognitive ability. For example, simple repetition is also a basic cognitive ability. How to design an industry-focused curriculum for mechanical, electrical, civil engineering process to overcome over fascination towards computer-related branches. It's a very, Dr. G. Rajesh, a very relevant questions. I may not have the right answer now. And learning fundamentals, especially civil mechanical engineering, is absolutely essential. And probably when you think of industry 4.0, 5.0, there's a scope for data analytics, there's a scope for lot of new things, and the students will be attracted to us for basic engineering subjects like mechanical, electrical, civil engineering. Building a brand, please advise some example. That was not focus of my discussion. It takes a long time. Don't go for shortcut method. Building brand is if you really teach, or if you really give focus on students, experiential learning, if you provide current knowledge with suitable example, if you have industry experts in your board or in your teaching, when they teach your classes, when you give them students simple projects, when you provide opportunity for second, third, fourth year join together and have some common projects, internship, these kind of things will definitely create a new kind of a branding. How to present situation to understand the learners and design the curriculum, is it possible? Example, SWAYAM courses. SWAYAM courses will promote self-learning. Many of the courses available not only in SWAYAM, Coursera, edX are also useful, but only thing is the assessment cost is very high. And I appreciate your question, sir. And Dr. Kannan, G. Kannan, and many of you have raised a lot of questions. I am sincerely thank you for your raising questions. I have a few more, probably another 10-15 minutes more with available with us. Now you can ask your questions orally. Madam Shanti, can you go for discussion, madam?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. We can.
Yeah, and I have seen only lot of names of the male participants except Dharani. I would like to receive questions from our teachers from far south or teachers from other states initially. If somebody is from northeastern belt, I would like to really listen to them. If somebody from West Bengal, from
Yeah, sir. Actually, what is the issue is in Zoom we have just closed the
Madam, we can ask the participants to raise
Yeah, to
their hands so
raise.
that we
Yes,
can
yes.
make them unmute.
Yes,
Please, louder,
participants,
please,
you can
louder,
please.
please.
Participant, you can please raise your hand
your
so
hand.
that we can give the access to talk. Yeah.
Raise your hand.
Participant, sir, can you please make me co-host
Yes,
or you please
Hello.
allow them to talk, sir?
Yes, ma'am.
Hello. Hello.
Yeah.
Yes.
I am Sudhakar Reddy from Bangalore.
Go ahead, sir. Sudhakar Reddy, sir.
Yeah. Is it possible to attain higher order outcomes in blue taxonomy through regular examination system?
I think you have raised a very relevant question. The present examination system may not help you to go for higher order cognitive skills. You need to have a portfolio of assessment. Give more importance for project-based learning, more importance for problem-solving learning. Then only they can go for higher order cognitive skills, sir. The present method may not really help you to have higher order skills, sir.
Thank
My
you,
answer
sir.
is partially satisfied you?
I am satisfied, sir. Thank you.
Thank you. Next question, please. Raise your hand. Raise your hand or you can speak.
Dr. Kannan, you can interact.
Kannan. Kindly introduce yourself, Kannan. Kannan, Dr. Kannan.
Is it audible, sir?
Yes, yes, sir.
Yes, sir. Sir, I'm Kannan. I'm working in St. Peter's Institute of Higher Education and Research in
Thank
Chennai.
you.
So my question is, for the present situation, the SWAYAM model is become very popular. So in that situation, how we can implement the curriculum designing changeover, sir, to understand the characteristics of the learners, how we can match it both?
Sir, Dr. Kannan, you must be knowing that SWAYAM, basically the SWAYAM courses and promoted by the government. There are majority cases, some of them are basic courses, elementary level courses. Some of them are intermediate courses, intermediate level courses. Some of them are advanced level courses. But most occasions we prescribe or we suggest only elementary level courses. And they are already designed, they are already delivered. And only thing is you have to take that particular course within the overall framework of your curriculum. The scope is very limited for you to manipulate, for you to use in your own style. But nothing wrong, the SWAYAM portal will help you to learn, to go for self-learning, probably by our students. You promote SWAYAM learning. You can, the SWAYAM learning, SWAYAM portal can supplement our efforts. It will not replace our efforts, Dr. Kannan. Are you satisfied with your answer, partially?
Thank you, sir. Thank you very much. Yes,
Thank
sir.
you, Kannan. Next slide, next person, please. Next scholar, please.
Hello, good evening, sir. I am Sivanandam.
One more, please, louder, please.
Sir, I am Sivanandam, sir.
Sivanandam, please speak, sir.
Sir, how can we implement the activity-based learning? Does it improve the quality of the learning, and how can we assess the such model of learning? Sir?
You are talking about activity-based learning.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Sir, when we talk about activity-based learning, for example, simple, very, very small level of thinking and certain more amount of physical activity learning. The cognitive thinking is very limited. For every physical activity, some amount of cognitive skills are essential. For example, in the first year, first semester, probably your cognitive load will be relatively less and the physical activity will be more. For example, dexterity of your fingers, manual calculation, that also involves certain amount of cognitive learning, cognitive skills. All those things can be given in the first year, first semester, second semester. The higher order cognitive thinking, for example, critical thinking, adaptive learning, all those things can be given in slightly later part of learning, probably fourth semester or sixth or seventh semester, you can define the complexity of activity and especially how much time it will take. All those things are very important parameters when you go for activity learning. And the other important thing is, I have not discussed at length about the assessment. I have my own probably presentations and course also. It's called stealth assessment, adopting stealing principles. AICTC is also promoting this. Without disturbing the students' learning as a team. To what extent a particular student initiate an activity, how he tries to support others to solve or to encourage an activity, all those things can also be indirectly measured by adopting a stealth assessment principle. A lot of materials are available. You can even go to virtual learning for stealth assessment. That will be more useful. Next slide.
Is it possible,
sir?
Is it possible for all the students in the classroom to involve in the activity?
Sir, I already said adopt certain methods. For example, participative learning, problem solving, discovery approach. It takes more time. You may not be able to complete a particular course. That is why experimentally, you can probably adopt in 1 or 2 courses and encourage students. You can also learn through this method. That method you can adopt. And also please learn, I always say this, learning outside the classroom, learning beyond the scope of exams, beyond the scope of syllabus is also very essential. Promote self-learning, even if the students are behind their achievement, encourage them self-learning and group learning. This will create a lot of interest. When you promote group learning, that will also help them to go for self-learning. Learning without the teachers outside the classroom and come back to you is also very, very important. It is not really taking place. I have personally seen in other European countries, in US, especially at the engineering level or in the higher order postgraduate studies, lot of things for 1 semester, 2 semesters, they simply do only 1 project. Unfortunately, even at our ME level, we teach a lot of courses. The projects are not given that adequate importance. We have to change that model. Next person, please. Next.
Thank you, sir. Thank you.
Faculty, please. We have another 12 minutes. I welcome all the questions from the teachers who are from outside the Tamil Nadu. Anyone from outside Tamil Nadu?
Madam Janani, if you wish, you can interact with the guest.
Madam Janani. Please go ahead, madam. Please go ahead, madam. Speak loudly. Go to VG Janani, close to your mic. Speak loudly, madam. Or you can even text your question. VG Janani, madam, where are you from? Are you from Tamil Nadu? Janani, madam. Okay. Next person, please.
In the meantime, someone has posted one
please.
person, sir, in the chat box. Actually, the SWIME, NPTEL or other online courses are changing the attitude of the students. They are becoming very lethargic and not serious about the studies. How to change this kind of attitude?
Madam, I have slightly different point of view. Please, whatever we do, we always think that classroom teaching, structured fashion, assessment under our close supervision, all those things are our traditional notion of learning. Please, the SWAYAM portal, yes, when they learn the basic courses, they learn very little. That is why I am encouraging, I am requesting you register your students in Coursera and edX, EDX, small ED, capital X. There are certain probably more advanced courses are available in these portals. And not only Swayam, you prescribe a particular course. It should be at the intermediate level or advanced level, or it should be completely different from the student's original discipline, original subject. Then the learning should be serious. This is my experience, madam.
Professor Ramesh Babu, you can interact.
Yes, sir. Hi, sir. Good evening, sir. This is Ramesh.
Good
here.
evening.
Good evening, sir. Sir, I'm speaking from Bangalore.
Okay.
So my question is, a lot of the institutions and universities are actually going to skill-based learning at the moment because of the changes in NEP that has occurred. Do you think so? I mean, the institutions have started recording our lectures so that we can put all the lectures in the portal so that students can view. So how far you think so this can scale up our education in terms of universities taking to the higher level, or do we have a real challenge here in order to match with any of the international universities? Yes, sir. This is what I have questions. Thank you.
Sir, the recording of lessons is primarily students who are missing a particular class or a particular course.
Yes, sir.
That is supplemented by the for example, like your lecture notes. This is like probably a oral kind of a oral presentation or a visual presentation available to students.
Yes, sir.
But that should be probably supplemented by the individual students learning and the faculty student interaction.
Yes, sir.
That is also very, very essential.
Yes.
Sir Vellingiri sir is from the Tata electronics industry.
Okay.
Very learned person, and he was also the general manager of the watch division of Titan Hosur. And
Yes,
currently he is promoting, or he is designing and delivering a course, BE technology, BTech technology in manufacturing industry, especially manufacturing process, especially in the electronic manufacturing process. He has raised a question: e-learning allowed by the industry through portal? Yes, sir. The national level bodies promoting at least 25-30% of the courses can be offered through e-learning, but the teacher should have a control. The students should not learn basic courses alone and go for getting credits. They should also learn advanced level of courses. That is why I'm telling you, Coursera and edX are also very, very useful, sir. Vellingiri sir, I partially answered your question, sir.
Okay, sir, understood.
Next question, please. I have another 7-8 minutes more, please. Bhatnapriya Jairam, do you have any question, madam?
Which are posted in the chat box. I'll read it out, sir.
Okay.
What kind of experiential learning methods can be adaptable for both UG and PG students?
In which particular subject, madam? Do you have any specific subject in mind?
No, I think it was not mentioned. Could you give it for electrical and electronics engineering, sir? Maybe for that program.
Okay, I understand your question now. Please understand, when we talk about experiential learning, you need to prepare, you have to understand which particular principle you are. For example, if you say conduction is one basic principle you are going to use for experiential learning, you have to design appropriate course contents, design appropriate experiments or visual materials, or certain three-dimensional pictures. For example, when we talk about learning, there should be certain amount of the teacher should adopt a creative mechanism, should adopt certain gaming principles to design and deliver a content. So think of certain basic concepts in electrical or electronics engineering and explain in multiple dimensions understand the student's level of knowledge first and build bit by bit. So your experiential learning should be like that. And when we talk about experiential learning, some students are very bright, they will be actively learning. Some students may not be so bright. Naturally, what kind of mechanism you are going to create so that everyone participate in group learning or in experiential learning. Experiential learning is learning by reflection and recalling your previous knowledge and comparing with the current knowledge given in that particular context. And they should raise questions. The students should raise questions to clarify their doubts. All those things are process of experiential learning.
Thank you, sir. Let me share the question which is posted by Dr. Vijay Lakshmi from Vijayawada. What are the recommendations for higher educational institutions to implement 4 C's in the curriculum?
Okay, it varies from university to university or varies from sometimes college to college. Please understand whether we talk about collaboration, whether you talk about communication and all those things. There are 2 approaches you can adopt. One is called inclusive, other one is called exclusive. I am one who believes inclusive approach. When you teach electrical engineering, you can teach the concept of collaboration. When you teach chemical engineering or basic physics, you can adopt collaboration, you can adopt, probably communication, effective communication. There is no need to teach a separate class for communication. There is no need to teach separate classroom or design a separate curriculum for collaborative learning or collaboration. All those things, when you teach a course discipline, you have to adopt the principles of collaboration, you have to adopt the principles of experiential learning, or whatever method you are interested in. And that should be part and parcel of your actual content learning and content teaching. There is no need to separately teach collaboration. Nahalakshmi, do you have any question, madam?
Yes, sir. Last question. Does the national education policy decrease the quality of the students? Quality of education among students? Sorry.
Madam, these are very generic questions. We have to experiment. We have to wait because the new education policy is not completely implemented by all the states. We have to wait for that. Please have a positive hope. You please have a positive note about these kind of new initiatives. They are talking about many good things. Of course, states have some reservations, and please be positive. They are talking about interdisciplinary courses. They are talking about ABC, academic bank of credits. They are talking about many things which are already implemented in Western countries, 4-year degree program, so that the students go to Western country without losing any year. So there are good things. Please have faith on this method and adopt effectively at your own level, at your own college level or state level. I am one who believes that some changes, positive changes will come. Next question, please. Maybe I will take 2 more questions.
That's all from the participants' end, sir. Sorry, one more question. Could you please explain about rubrics for arts and science curriculum?
Madam, rubrics is primarily to avoid variation whenever you go for assessment, whenever you correct an assignment. If 2 teachers correct the same assignment, they will put 2 different marks. To remove that inter-teacher variation, inter-teacher bias, between teachers' bias, we are describing the assessment in a scientific manner that is called rubrics. Analytical, holistic rubrics is one, analytical is one thing. There are colleges in Coimbatore in the arts and science context. They have adopted rubrics. When we talk about rubrics, there is no separate rubrics for chemistry, chemistry BSc or MSc chemistry or MSc physics. Rubrics are primarily for certain, for example, rubrics for a seminar, rubrics for assignment, rubrics for projects, rubrics for your descriptive answers. rubrics for creativity. You can create rubrics for certain probably presentations, your presentation of your response, your knowledge. Rubrics for assignments. For example, rubrics for assignments, you can say free from any grammatical error, contents are properly organized, adequately presented with suitable example, and all the appropriate style of learning is adopted. 4 or 5 parameters you define. If if the 4 parameters are satisfied, 4 factors of assessment satisfied, you are giving 4 marks or 5 marks. If one is missing, probably you will give slightly less marks. Like that, you can create rubrics. I think the colleges, Krishnamal College, PSG Arts and St. Krishnamal, Coimbatore, and a lot of other colleges in Coimbatore, I have seen they have created best models of rubrics, and a lot of resource materials are also available. Yeah, please, can I take one more last
Thank you,
question?
sir. Thank you so much for explaining all the questions arised by the participants. And
Right. It was very much, it was a very interactive session, right? Still, people are posting the questions. I think we can wind up.
Yeah, please.
Any
please.
questions still? One more in chat. Yeah.
We will take that as a last question, madam. We'll take that as a last question, Madam Shanti.
Yes, sir. How to encourage the students for blended learning, especially slow learners?
Yeah, it's a very, very useful question. Please understand, when we say slow learners, even we don't use the term, we use the term called bloomers, BLOOMERS, bloomers. We don't give any value judgment about somebody's achievement. For example, providing individual learning support, encouraging even for a small level of learning, and we can encourage bloomers or slow learners and try to give them the right kind of learning materials and use simple assessment methods. These things will definitely help them to overcome their own difficulty. I close my session now. I sincerely thank the Vice Chancellor of the Amet University, Professor G. Thiruvasagam, Professor, and the entire team members, Dr. Sasilata, and all the coordinators, Mrs. Shanti, and all the members of the faculty from the Amet University, from AIU, for such a nice, wonderful an opportunity for me to interact with the teachers across the country. Thank you.
We thank you, sir. We thank you for sharing your expertise in designing of curriculum. We had an excellent session and filled us with so much knowledge that will help us to take our department in future direction. Thank you, sir. Thank you, sir, for
madam.
pointing out the interesting deliberations on skills that we need to focus. So from your words, let me conclude. Let us conclude today's session by changing our teaching paradigm to learning paradigm. Thank you all for your active participations. We will meet in tomorrow's session. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Thank you. Bye. I'm leaving now. I am signing off now.
Yes, sir. Thank you, sir. Thank you very much.